said hi last week.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
Oh, well.
So, my week. Monday, ran into a guy in the gym. Very awkward encounter. Considering there's no one ever in my gym.
Right.
So it was a little weird.
Yeah.
I, like, immediately was like, oh, sorry, like, my shit is everywhere. Like, literally wasn't. It was on, like, one piece of equipment that I, like, put all my stuff on, but I wasn't using
Okay.
a piece of equipment because it was leg day and it was, like, an arm thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, well, let me move. He goes, no, you're okay. I'm over here. So, like, I showed you the video of our gym.
Yeah.
It's like a U.
Yeah.
So you can't see the one side of it.
Okay.
From the other side.
Okay.
So he, like, went over there and, like, stayed over there the majority of the time. Then came back and, like, went back and forth between, like, two machines and then went back over there. I was like, okay. And then I was, like, awkwardly turned my, like, volume down because I'm like, if he says something to me, I want to be able to hear him and not be like, what?
So, what?
Yeah, so, and then I did my, like, hip things. And when I was done with that and I was getting up, he came back over and I was, like, putting my stuff together. And he got on the treadmill that I usually use. And I was like,
There's my treadmill.
where's my treadmill? But I was like, no, I don't want to get on the treadmill. He just got on the treadmill. If I get on the treadmill, that's weird. Because there's only two of us here. If this was, like, multiple people in this gym, it probably wouldn't matter. But it's just the two of us. And I was also like, I kind of feel like shit. Like, I don't feel very good.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just going to call it. It's leg day anyways. Whatever. So, left. Got to my mom's to pick up Amelia. Went from outside to inside. And as soon as I hit the warm air, I was like, I'm going to throw up. I am not feeling so hot. So, I quickly got her together and I was like, Mom, do you have soup? And she goes, oh, yeah. She flings open her cupboard to, like, the store stock selection of soups that she has. And I was like, I'm just looking for, like, a chicken noodle, something with broth, Mom. Something with broth. And she's like, I don't have any chicken noodle, but I have beef stew. And I was like, that'll do. It's got broth, I guess. So I grabbed that, I put Amelia in her car seat, and then I left. And as soon as I got into the cold air, I was like, oh, I feel better. Like, the cold air is what I needed.
Do you think you just worked too hard?
Maybe. And then I, like, next day I was like, oh, I also feel like shit. Like, So I stayed home, and I was like, and Brian was like, this is the worst week for you to get sick. And I was like, you think I don't know that? So I also stayed home that day.
Yeah.
All right. And now, that day, because I have a prop for you.
You have a prop for me?
I have a prop for you. That day I went to Target, and I was like, yo, I'm making sure I don't have COVID, making sure I don't have flu, even though I don't feel like I have either one of those.
Okay.
But I took a different test. You gotta give it a minute. You gotta give it a minute.
Two! There's two!
Yep, it's twins. So that was on my week, Mom. Literally right before Amelia's first birthday. I'm 6 weeks. I went on Thursday for my appointment where my doctor promptly went, oh yeah, I need an official. I think there might be 2 in there. And I went, beg your fucking pardon, what? So then I quickly called Brian to come from the office to where I got an ultrasound, and they confirmed it is twins. So that is why I felt like shit. That is why I almost threw up, and I have been feeling like shit ever since. This is why I wanted to save this for last. She's crying. You can't see it. Take your time. We said we just wanted one more. And the universe said, fuck you.
They're both healthy?
A's heartbeat was in like the 120s, B's was like 109.
Okay.
So in like 2 weeks I have to get another scan done.
Okay.
But also the tech was like, it is very early to be trying to get a solid heartbeat on them. It took multiple tries, and multiple times I had to go and hold my breath so she could try to...
Where are my glasses?
It took 2 years to have Amelia. 2 years.
They do say that.
Fertility treatment. Whole 9 yards. Shots, like, to have Amelia. Yes, it didn't even try. And it's more than one. I told my mom today, I got her reaction on camera.
Did she lose it?
She was like, oh, this is why your appointment went so long. And I was like, yeah. And then she was like, wait a minute, I'm trying to figure, is this more than one? And I was like, yep. And she was like, oh my God. And then she's like, well, I'm not surprised. It does run in our family. And I was like, yeah, I know it runs in our family. Because my cousin has twins.
I would have waited and told everybody tomorrow.
Well, we were talking about it, but it's Amelia's day.
Yeah.
So we were like,
oh my God.
It's her day.
Okay, wait. 6 weeks. So you got pregnant
like
end of January. Right?
So
February, March, April.
You know what date she gave me? October 31st. But if it's twins, it's going to be before that. She said they usually take them at like 37 weeks. So it'll be like beginning of October.
What do you mean they usually take them out?
They usually like induce you.
Got you. Okay.
Or you get a C-section.
Depending
or they usually start coming earlier. Because
there's not enough room.
Space is cramped.
Yeah.
What is that? She's pregnant again?
With twins.
You? Holy fuck. When did you find this out? Today?
The ultrasound was yesterday.
No wonder when we were talking to Brian earlier today about Disney, he was like, yeah, you know, when we have others, when they're old enough, I was like, others? They're only planning on one. And not for a little while yet.
Oh, boy. Twins.
We were only planning on one. And we were going to start when Millie hit a year.
Are you sure they're not kidney stones? They look kind of just like beans.
Well, they're really only tiny little specks.
It's really, yeah, I had to put on my glasses. And... Because they're really...
It's not this thing and that thing?
No, that's the sack.
She put arrows to them.
Yeah.
There's some of them that the tech put an arrow so you can see.
The little
and it's not the entire glob.
Oh, gotcha.
It's only part of the glob.
Yeah, all that in the
That's
glob, that's the amniotic fluid.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like the white in the egg, and they're like the yolk.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they're super duper tiny. She's 6 weeks pregnant. Her due date is October 31st.
Oh. Well, alright, that's pretty cool. That'd be sweet.
Well,
I'm not going to make it that long.
Yeah.
But
she said that with twins, they usually will come early because they're cramped.
If you get a boy and a girl, you can name them Jack and Sally. Well, for Halloween, man. That'd be awesome. Better you than me. Oh, no part of the twins. No part of that.
Oh my
That's
God.
the second. Now she's the second person we know that is having twins.
Yeah.
Because Marina's pregnant with twins. Her first time ever getting
Yeah.
pregnant ever.
Twin boys.
oh my god.
Third person. Alec has
There's
twins.
There's gonna be 2 girls. It's just gonna be all women.
That'll be Brian's
I already know
luck.
that's what's gonna happen.
He was like,
It's gonna be all girls.
he goes, if it's girls, he goes, I'm really outnumbered. And I was like, yeah.
How do they be? How are they ever going to be able to tell if they're identical? Would you not know that?
Well,
There's a
they're
skin, right?
separate eggs. So they're going to be, they won't be identical. They didn't split from the same. They're separate eggs.
I was wondering how.
So, and she could really tell they were separate eggs because, like, where, you know, where your ovary is, where you release your egg, it leaves behind something that continues to produce hormones for you, and there was 2 of them, which means there was...
Sorry,
I'm just talking about free. I'm just talking, you know. Not
I'm
talking
in
about run your
shock.
podcast, but I thought you were calling me in here to talk to me about the towel thing.
I didn't even bring that up.
So
Okay.
are you guys telling everybody tomorrow?
No, she told her parents, her mom.
Yeah. And, like, Todd and Kelly know. Bill and Kim know. Because, like, he was in that office when I was texting him frantically because they were ordering an urgent ultrasound for me. And I was like, okay. And they're like, it's in 30 minutes at this place that's 15 minutes away. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay. So then I'm texting him, like, you need to leave the office and start making your way towards, like, this place. And so then I called him on my way out. He goes, what does an urgent ultrasound mean? I said, and I walked into a freaking elevator. And then I was trying to talk to him. I just kept yelling into my phone, it's twins. And so it wasn't until the door opened, he was like, what are you saying? And I walked out into, like, this little waiting room full of old men. And I went, it's twins! And then he goes, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
I wish I had been there just to see the men's reaction of you yelling.
So then and the girl was like, you have to have a full bladder. And I was like, great, thanks. So then I ran to my car and I chugged that entire thing because that was full. Yeah. And got there and they were like, well, she's with a patient right now. So, like, she'll be with you in a minute. So, and Brian was going to be late anyways.
You're going to have 3 babies in diapers at one time.
Yeah, we're going to have 3 under 2.
You're never going to sleep, ever. Because you're going to have 2 baby twins, and then you're going to have a baby that's, like, going into their terrible 2s. And we'll be at Florida.
I will be flying back.
I'll take my scenario.
Yeah, because it's funny, because I was like, oh, it's going to take just as long for the second one as it did for the first one.
Right.
Because it was an issue.
Yeah.
Well, not.
No, apparently not. Really, apparently not. And I didn't think anything of it, too, because they asked me, too. They were like, when was the first day of your last period? I was like, literally January 1st. That's how I started my year. And they were like, okay. And I was like, well, I have PCOS. Like, I'm, like, very irregular. Like, before that was September. So... And then so they thought it was 8 weeks. And I was like, oh, I guess that would explain me feeling like shit. But then I found out it was 6 weeks, and I was like, what the hell? How am I already feeling like shit? But then I was like, oh, of course, I have, like, twice the amount of hormones in me right now. And that line was the darkest I have ever seen a line come up on a test before. It was darker than the control lines. So that's how I knew. I was like, that's a lot. That's very dark. I feel like that's odd. I feel like that's an odd thing. And Brian had just said the night before, he had made a comment, and he was, like, joking, and he was like, well, you're eating for 3 now, and he was, like, joking about it. And then the next day, I was like, not a joke. It wasn't a joke. It's real. This is actually happening.
Congratulations.
And then he leaves.
See you tomorrow.
We gotta get her to try the creamy ice cream.
Oh, yeah, we can do that afterwards.
Yeah. Perfect timing.
I knew this was going to stunt any conversation. This was going to ruin, like, anything going further for tonight. So that's why I wanted to do this last. But yes, that's... Uh-huh.
Holy shit.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Brian just keeps thinking of, like like, scenario after scenario. He goes, maybe we just need to buy a fixer-upper and, like, just do one room at a time. He goes, I don't think we're going to be able to get a house that's just ready to move in. We're just going to have to...
I mean, that's what Craig does. He buys fixer-uppers, and they live in them. It's him, his wife, they have 5 kids. 5 kids. They live in them, they fix them up, and then they rent them. They go and they do and buy another one. And that's what they do in upstate New York. But...
Yeah, so I was like, probably. So, that and Kim was like, is Megan's job worth keeping?
Yeah.
And Brian was like, well, right now the insurance is through, like, her insurance is through herself.
Right.
So, and I was like, I'm glad I picked the best one.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And I got on short-term disability this time.
Okay, good.
So I can at least use that. But, yeah, I guess she was talking, and she was like, you might want to start picking up some extra, like, little jobs here and there, because they're doing a lot of stuff that's close recently.
He told me about that,
So,
that they were asking him if he would be willing
Yeah.
to go out to something if it was close.
And he was basically saying to them about, like, well, then I'll be hitting overtime, and you don't want to pay me overtime, because they're not doing overtime anymore. They're just upping everybody's salary, I guess.
Okay.
Because they're no longer doing overtime. Because it's just not working out with the way these deals are being made anymore.
Okay.
And it all has to come down to politics.
Yeah, that's how the whole world works.
So that everybody's just kind of getting paid more in general. But he was like, unless you can figure out a way for me to continue to do these estimates and take this paycheck, but I also take a different paycheck.
Right.
Because they have multiple companies.
Yeah.
So, of course, Kim was immediately trying to, like, solve problems and, like, fix things, and she was freaking out, and you don't know Bill's reaction. So, he pulled out, because he took that with him on...
Monday?
It would have been...
Or Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah,
So it was
Friday.
yesterday. Yesterday is when I got the ultrasound done.
Yeah.
So, we left there. He took that with him. I just took a few pictures of it and took it to work with me. I had been texting my coworker because then I was going to be late, and then I was going to be really late because I had to go for this ultrasound. And I was like, I'm sorry, can you please check my charts?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be there before noon now. And so she did, and I just came in, and she was like, what was, and I was like, it's fucking twins. And I shut the door, and she was like, are you kidding me? And she's freaking out behind me, and she keeps going, oh my God. She was the first one to go, oh my God, you're going to have 3 under 2.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And then she was like, oh my God. And she kept freaking out all day long. And then she'd turn around and she'd be like, oh my God, you're going to have to do that. And I was like, yes, I know, Natalie. Like,
her coworker's name is Natalie as well.
Yes.
The Natalies are both freaking out because, like, literally I don't even know what time it is. What time is it?
It is 8:13.
5 hours from now will be the year anniversary that your water broke.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said that to Logan today. And he was like, are you going to text her? And I was like, I was thinking about it. And I was like, a year ago. How is it that a year ago tomorrow, I was there holding her dead leg and she pushed Amelia out of her body?
Yeah. Yep.
Which is crazy. Like, oh my God.
Because when I went in well, first of all, I called, so I took the test on Tuesday.
Yeah.
The day I, like, stayed home because I wasn't feeling well.
Yeah.
And I let Brian rant about his day when he got home. And I told him a little bit about, like, Amelia and I's because she stayed home with me. And then I was like, oh, I got something else from Target. And I reached into my bag, and he was, like, thinking I, like, bought something expensive. And I pulled out a test. And he takes it, he goes, you're pregnant. And I was like, yep, that's what that means. And I took out a digital one that I took as well, just in case. And I was like, he was like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah, which, you know, he has, like, no emotion, whatever, that he throws on his face. But, like, you wouldn't have been able to tell, but he was spiraling because he forgot multiple things that he was supposed to do that night. And yeah. And then the next
No
day...
wonder when I asked him if he went on Tuesday to the grocery store to get fruits and vegetables, what fruits he got so that I could pick the appropriate cheeses to complement said fruits on the charcuterie. He was like, I forgot. I didn't get to go last night. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we ended up going on Wednesday, and I just didn't go to the gym on Wednesday so that we could go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I called my doctor on Wednesday, and she asked me the same questions they always ask first day last period, and I told her, and then I was like, I have PCOS, so who knows? And she goes, oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And I also, plus, I was like, I gotta schedule an appointment, like, I don't know, like, confirmation, I don't know, I got a positive pregnancy test. She was like, oh, have you been here before? And I was like, I have. It certainly does not sound like I have, but yes, I have been here before. And she starts laughing, and I was like, well, the first time I was there for this, I went to a fertility clinic, and they didn't release me from the fertility clinic until I was 10 weeks already. Yeah. So I was past the confirmation stage.
Yeah.
So this was just a confirmation. So she was like, I have... she goes, oh, well, January 1st, so you're probably about 8 weeks, so it would be, she goes, you could literally come in whenever. I got today, tomorrow, Friday, and I was like, okay. And I was like, well, I can't do today, because I'm, like, literally on my way to work. And I was like, what do you have tomorrow? And she's like, I have 9:30, and I was like, okay, good. So I showed up, and it was so packed. Plus, they redid the inside.
Did they?
Of my gynecologist's office. Huh. So upon walking in, I thought I was walking into the wrong place. Where I
hate when that happens.
Stepped outside of the office
to go
look at the sign to go, did I just walk into the wrong office? And then realized, no, I'm in the right place. So walked in, took me back. It's my normal doctor that I normally have that I happen to get that time. And she was like, so how you doing? She goes, she's like, we were just here about a year ago. And I was like, yep, like a year ago, literally Saturday is when I had my daughter. And here I am again. And I explained the same thing to her, and she was like, yeah, with PCOS, who knows when you ovulated, it could be like whenever. She's like, well, we'll check though. And she was like, that test is definitely positive because it was very dark. So she's like, you know, you may be like 8 weeks. And then she brought in their tiny little ultrasound machine, which is literally looks like an iPad attached to an IV pole. Because it's very tiny. It's just like a little portable one. And she starts looking, and I saw the one black glob pop up, and then I saw another black glob pop up, and I went, no. And she goes, yeah, I need an official. And I went, oh no. And she goes, it looks like 2 to me. And I was like, it looks like 2 to me. And she goes, yeah, I'm ordering you a official, like, urgent ultrasound right now. She goes, go out front, they'll get you scheduled. I'm putting the orders right now. She goes, I need you in, like, as soon as possible. Cool. So, walked out there, talking to this lady. I think her name was, like, Lynn or something. And, or Lydia, I think her name was. And, like, she was on the phone with the central scheduling to find me a place. She had her desk nice and decorated. I was making comments about how nicely decorated her desk was because I was so nervous and awkward. And she's like, there's one in, she goes, do you know where this place is? Over in Kaiser, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, that's like literally where my primary care physician is. And she goes, yep, it's that building. They have an appointment at 11. And I was like, it's 10:30. And she was like, can you do that? And I was like, I mean, they're like 15 minutes away. Like, yeah, I can make it there. But I was like,
it should still be a You're good.
Yeah, phone call. So I was like, yeah, I can make it there. I was like, but I need to start texting people. So I'm texting Brian going, they're ordering me an ultrasound, an urgent ultrasound. They're getting me scheduled right now. And then I'm like texting him, and I was like, literally for 11 o'clock, you need to like get together, because he had Amelia at the office. So he had to get her together. And then I'm texting work Natalie. And I'm going, I'm about to be a massive pain in the ass. I need you to check my charts for me. Because I'm not going to be in by 12. And she's like, are you coming in today at all? And I was like, yeah, I will be. I just know I'm not going to be getting there by like 12 o'clock. And I ended up getting there like a little after 1. So, so I'm texting him. And then she was like, yep, it's confirmed, 11 o'clock. I will call you later with rescheduling for other things. Like, just go. And I was like, okay. So I got up, and she was like, good luck. And I was like, thank you. And I, like, walked down to the elevator, and that's when I started calling Brian. And then I realized after, I was like, shit, like, I'm about to get in an elevator. He's not going to hear me. So then I like, you know, screamed that it was twins. I busted out the front door. I started walking to the car. He's like, are you kidding me? And I was like, no, I'm not kidding you. She wants an official, though, to make sure. I was like, because she can't see it for sure. So I said, they ordered me an urgent ultrasound. It's literally at 11. You need to get there now. And he was like, okay, well, like, I'm getting her together. I'm getting ready to leave. He got off the phone with me. I got in my car, started chugging water, made my way over there. He, meanwhile, is getting her together. I could hear Bluey in the background because he took my iPad with him to set up for Amelia, because you put Bluey on, that kid will just sit.
Yeah.
And she won't
She's
move.
good.
Yeah. She's just glued. And Kim was like, because Kim was there, and she only heard his side of the conversation.
Yeah.
And she was like, everything okay? And he was like, yeah. And he's like, can he still use it? I have to go. And he's like, I have to meet Megan, this, you know. And she was like, are you going to be a dad again? And he was like, yeah. And she goes, this is like a good thing, right? Like, and he goes, it depends on your definition of good. And she was like, what do you mean? And he goes, it might be twins. And she was like, oh my God. Like, and she was freaking out. And Bill was not there yet. So then Brian called me on his way, and he goes, my GPS is saying 11:08 is when I'm going to get there. So when I got down there and I was checking in, I said to the lady, because there was a really sweet woman there too, and I was like, my husband is on his way. I was like, hopefully he makes it in time. But he said he'll be here at like 11:08. I know my appointment's at 11. If you see him walk in, he's got a really big beard, like, and she goes, I'll bring him back to you. It's okay. And I was like, sounds great. So, and she goes, but she's with a patient right now, so you can just take a seat. So I was like, all right. So I sat down. He got there before I was even taken back.
Okay.
So, yeah. And he was like, I knew it. I called it. I said it. I was like, let's just wait until we see this ultrasound. So the tech comes out to take me back. She's very pregnant. And she goes, my name is also Megan. And I was like, great. So she was super nice. Took me back. She's the one that complimented me about your cup. And I was like, yeah.
It's literally the size of my head, if not bigger.
Yeah. And she was like, I'm getting one. So, yeah. But tried to do like an abdomen one. Tried to do an abdomen one, and she goes, yeah, I can't see enough here. I'm going to have to do an internal ultrasound. And I was like, I knew this was coming. So then I had an internal ultrasound. And, yep. And she was like, yep, that's two. She did her whole little, like, I can't confirm or deny, like, anything about it. I was like, I completely understand. I literally work in a diagnostic imaging facility. And if it wasn't for the fact that nobody at work knows about this, I would have had this done there. But if I want my entire office to know, like, that's the only way I'll be able to get my ultrasound done there. So, yep, and confirmed it, and we did, like, heartbeat things and everything. She did all her little measurements and stuff, and she was, like, measuring around 6 weeks. And then she's like, I'll print you pictures. So she started printing pictures, and she was like labeling some of them. And then she was like, do you want one that like doesn't have anything on it? It just has the 2 gestational sacs next to each other, but like nothing on it to like say what it. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, just to see if people figure it out. I was like, yeah.
Oh, I figured it out.
And so yeah, so that's like that first one. And then, yeah, she, like, started labeling other ones as you go down, and then she was putting arrows to them, because she's like, it's just this tiny little thing. She goes, it's not even the whole glob that's inside of it. It's only this little bit,
part.
because the part attached to them is their yolk sac.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I was like, great. She's like, hey, I was like, great. I was like, this one's about to turn a year, because Brian was holding her. And I was like, and here we are again. And so go to leave, got my pictures. And I'm like, you can take that with you. So he took that with him. I just took a few pictures of it to take to work with me. Amelia's in my car because now I have to take her to my mom's to drop her off there. And Brian's heading back to work. And as he's getting in his truck, he's looking at me. He goes, I knew it. He's like going, I knew it, as he's getting in his truck. So then he gets back to the office where he walks up, because Bill is standing in the middle of the office. And he walks up to Bill and he looks at him. And he was like, I just had an appointment I had to get to. And he reaches into his backpack and he pulls it out. And Bill goes, oh. He's like, I don't know whether to congratulate you or feel sorry for you. And then he holds it up closer to Bill and he goes, 2. And Bill starts laughing. And then turns around and goes, you're fucked. And just keeps laughing. And Kim's freaking out. And she's like, oh my God. And she's going off. And I was like, oh my Lord. So then later he called Todd. And he was telling Todd about it. And he was like, yeah, I can't remember how because he didn't come right out and say it, but he like worded it a certain way, and Todd was like, is she pregnant again? And Brian was like, yep. He's like, and this time it's twins. And Todd's like, no shit. Like, he was like, you did it again, man, you did it again. And, yeah, so then he said to Todd, he's like, you can tell Kelly. He was like, we're only telling, like, so many people, we're not going to make an announcement on Saturday, because, like, it's Amelia's birthday. It's, like, her day. Like, we don't want to, like, take away from her day. So that's why I was like, I need to at least tell my mom. So I told my mom today. And then I said to him, I was like, can I tell Natalie? And he was like, go ahead. I told Todd. I was like, great. I know exactly how I'm doing this.
Better tell Natalie. I was there when helping you push the first one out. Damn it. Reality is starting to set in. And the oh shit is kicking in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, should we end this episode and call your husband? Because I want to have a conversation with him. I'm still crying. Oh my God.
So long story short, yes, that has been my week. That has been my roller coaster of a week. Yeah. And like partway through this week, like Tuesday, I was like, I haven't really thought anything about Friday yet. I haven't thought about anything yet for Friday. Now I have something for Friday.
Holy shit. Alright, well, have a good week. We'll see you on Sunday.
Use protection.
Be safe.
Be safe out there.
Yeah, be safe.
Bye.